Chapter 31 What a good show. You are listening at novelfull.audio. There are some Umbu wandering around the new Uchiha tribe. They held telescope equipment and monitored Uchihas every move, and report to the third generation every day. At this moment, a perceptive ninja looked stern, and a wave of probing chakra just swept over him. He immediately made an emergency signal, and several other Umbu quickly gathered. Come on. We've been discovered. A few people didn't have time to ask how they were discovered and ran outside quickly. I want to leave now, but it's too late. Natsuki fell from the sky and kicked an Anbu away with a whip kick. How could it be? How could it be so fast, that the remaining few people felt cold in their hearts? Uchiha now had a sensitive relationship with the village. If some of their Anbu were caught, that would be troublesome. Natsuki Uchiha is now the deputy chief of the Uchiha family. Do we have a chance of winning? The three of them looked at Xiaomu and fell to the ground as if struck by lightning. Natsuki shrugged. What a noob. He actually looked at his Sharingan. Don't you know how powerful Uchiha's genjutsu is? In fact, Natsuki misunderstood. The Anbu who came here to monitor were only at Chunin level, and several of them stood together. If anyone falls under the illusion, the other two partners can quickly undo it, but Natsuki's Mangekyo Sharingan eyes were so powerful that for just a moment, several people didn't have time to unlock them, and they lost consciousness. At this time, following the sound of footsteps, the Uchiha patrol came quickly. Lock these people up first and deal with them tomorrow. Yes, that the Uchiha patrol is to prevent Shao thieves from invading the clan territory. However, these Umbus secretly monitor the clan from a distance, and they do not set foot on the clan's territory, so they are not easy to detect and cannot be guarded against. Now that there will be a barrier in my own clan, I will give the third generation a warning first. Hokage-sama, 4 people are missing from the Umbu who are monitoring the Uchiha clan. Sandai, who heard the news early in the morning, felt bad. The previous 3 generations put some Anbu in tentatively, but Uchiha had no reaction. Later, the third generation became bolder and placed many Umbu around Uchiha to monitor Uchiha's every move, but he didn't expect that Uchiha would suddenly attack, and he deliberately chose to come when Kumogakure was having peace talks. What does Uchiha want to do? But today is the birthday party of Hinata, the eldest daughter of the Hyuga family. The Hyuga family was grateful for the rights Uchiha gave up, so they specially invited Fugaku and Natsuki to visit the Hyuga family. Uchiha, who thought he was separated from the village, would not come. Unexpectedly, both Fugaku and Natsuki came, because of the previous transfer of power. Hisashi and Fugaku had a good relationship. So Fugaku stayed to chat with Hisashi after the banquet. Xiaomu, on the other hand, used the excuse of being too bored to go out for a walk. In a flash, he headed towards the backyard of Hinata's house. That's Hinata's room over there. Natsuki stood at a high place and watched a sneaky figure enter Hinata's room. Not long after, he slipped out with the unconscious Hinata in his arms. Of course, this one snuck in sneakily, but when he came out, he was blatant. He was discovered immediately, and the person who came was none other than the furious Rizu. Hinata is the eldest daughter of the clan, and she dares to blatantly come to the Hinata family to kidnap her. She simply doesn't take the Hinata family seriously. Rizu rolled his eyes, and quickly locked on to the target, and came to the thief with a few instant movements. The man quickly threw Hinata aside and rushed towards Hizu in a flash. Rizu raised his soft fist and was about to attack. Suddenly a figure appeared beside him. Enemy. Even Rizu couldn't see clearly the figure of the person coming. The other party had already punched the thief in the throat. The thief died there without any resistance at all. This was Hizu, and he saw clearly that the person coming was Uchiha Natsuki. Natsuki took a look and saw that the person lying on the ground was the third person in the Kumogakure mission, Nagasaki Shinichi. It's Shimu. I didn't expect you to be so skilled. Rizu was not being polite, but he didn't catch Natsuki's figure just now with his white eyes. Hizu-sama, now is not the time to relax. Xiaomu could already hear the faint noise outside, so he quickly whispered to Rizu. Rizu looked stunned, then frowned and nodded. Natsuki quickly hid her figure. Only Nagasaki Shinichi's body and Hayashi holding Hinata were left at the scene. At this time, a series of footsteps came, and they were the important figures of Kumogakure's mission, including Yakido and Kurabi. They were accompanied by the third Hokage, Koharu, and Mito Kadini. Mizu's heart sank. It was exactly what Xiaomu said. When Yakido saw Shinichi Nagasaki lying on the ground, his face darkened. He quickly stepped forward to check and found that Shinichi Nagasaki had died. With an angry look on his face, Hyuga Hayashi. Why? We heard about the birthday of the eldest daughter of the Hyuga clan and came to congratulate us. Why did Shinichi die here? Rizu's face was full of anger. What a joke. This man broke into my daughter's room with the intention of kidnapping my daughter, and I beat him to death after I found him. What's wrong with that? Yakido also argued, that's nonsense. I, Kyomogakure, came here with sincerity this time. Nagasaki just came first to give gifts, but you beat him to death. Are you provoking a war by doing this? Rizu was speechless after hearing the words, and watched Yumu Ren's sad and indignant speech in silence. Rizu's silence made Yakido think that Rizu was worried. So he turned around and questioned the third Hokage. The third Hokage, you have watched this whole thing happen. We know about the Hinata family's happy event today, so we came here to congratulate you. But I didn't expect that Nagasaki Shinichi would die here. Is this how you treat our Kyomogakure? Sandai's face had been gloomy before, and he could tell at a glance that this was Kyomogakure's trick. While he was thinking about it, Yakido's words became even more intense. The third Hokage, what do you mean? If you are dissatisfied with our Kyomogakure, you can openly say that killing Shinichi was ordered by you. Just throw dirty water on the head of the third generation. Hinata Hisashi's eyes were as heavy as water, and his eyes were fixed on the third Hokage. The third Hokage is riding a tiger and is unable to dismount. Yakido pressed again. For the sake of peace, if the third generation wants to solve this matter, then the murderer will have to pay with his life. If you think Yunin village is easy to bully, we Yunin will not hesitate to fight. The words were sonorous and powerful, full of determination, and Kurabi next to him, the chakra on his body surged wildly, and soon a layer of tailed beast chakra coat emerged. The third Hokage sighed and looked at Hizu with a guilty look. Hizu, this is something you Hinata caused, you are responsible for solving it. Xiaochun, who was sleeping next to him, also helped. Yes, Rizu, Yunin came with the will of peace. You must resolve this matter reasonably. At this moment, Hizu looked at the third Hokage with disappointment in his eyes. It was exactly as Xiaomu said. The current Hokage line has no bones left. At this time, Fugaku and Hisashi had already come from the yard next to them, and the people from the Hyuga family next to them informed them of the development of the matter. Hisashi saw his brother being forced and couldn't help but want to step forward. Suddenly there was a burst of applause from the side. Natsuki slowly walked out of the shadows. He smiled at the tense scene and said, "It's really a good show." Chapter 32 The Power of God. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The people of the Hokage family and Kyomogakure were all shocked. The third Hokage didn't know what Natsuki Uchiha wanted to do when he came out at this time, but he would never allow Konoha to fight Kyomogakure again. Yakido frowned, not expecting that there was a variable like Uchiha Natsuki, and saw that the Hokage was putting pressure on the Hinata family. On his side, he could give up immediately and renegotiate later. Unexpectedly, Xiaomu came out halfway. Yakido was still acting at this time. Uchiha Natsuki, now our Kyomogakure people died tragically in the Hinata family, but you come here to say sarcastic things. But he didn't expect that Xiaomu wouldn't accept the move at all. Stop acting, don't you just send a dead man to die, and then test the attitude of Konoha village, pretend to be whatever you want. Now that you have tested it out, Konoha village does not dare to start another war. Natsuki raised a finger. It's a pity that you made a mistake. Everyone present was livid. It was one thing to know, but it was another thing to tell the truth with all their faces. Yuki-ran also put away his acting expression and said with a gloomy face, "What did you do wrong?" Natsuki came over and clenched his fists. This idiot was killed by my punch. He has nothing to do with the Hinata family. Yumirin was shocked and angry. Hey! Don't ask. You just want to see if he doesn't like it. Just kill him. Xiaomu provoked. If you don't accept it, come and kill me. Yakido shouted, Kalabi. Thunder Plow Hot Knife. Kurabi, who appeared in a tailed beast suit next to him, couldn't bear it any longer, and rushed over at high speed with the thunder chakra condensed all over his body. Stones were flying on the ground, and the fine stone slabs were stepped on and cracked. Natsuki. Hisashi was very anxious. He didn't expect that things would change so quickly and he would suddenly take action. Fugaku, on the other hand, crossed his arms and seemed very confident in Natsuki. It's too late to say, boom. Boom. A huge roar sounded, and the entire venue was filled with smoke and dust. A golden giant rose from the ground. This Susanoo, compared to the first-level skeleton form, was covered with meridians and flesh and blood, and was wrapped in a coat-like chakra. The overflowing chakra was like a storm, impacting everyone's hearts, and Kurabi was pinned to the ground like a bug. Susanoo. Everyone present exclaimed. The third generation's face became even more gloomy. He didn't expect that Natsuki also had the Mangekyo Sharingan. Yukito's heart skipped a beat. Is this the power of Uchiha's god? Damn it. Roar. Kurabi was not a vegetarian either. Although he was held down, he did not admit defeat. While struggling all the time, his body underwent obvious changes, and the tailed beast chakra poured out crazily from behind him, turning into dark red tails of tailed beast chakra, half-tailed beast. Susanoo's hand was about to be raised as he watched Natsuki. Boom. Another purple-black Susanoo appeared and pressed down with his palm again, but Fugaku also showed up as Susanoo. The two Susanoos appeared at the same time, and the ninjas around him were unable to stand at all, and were all thrown away by the ferocious momentum, and with the blessing of God's power, the young Kurabi was stepped down instantly. The sound of broken bones sounded, and Kurabi screamed. He passed out and the tailed beast coat slowly shed off. Yumu was so frightened. Is Susanoo so strong? Can't you resist the eight tails half-tailed beast transformation? Natsuki grabbed the unconscious Kurabi. If you want to fight, then I will crush Kurabi to death right now. It's your choice, Yukito. Kurabi's life and death rests in Natsuki's hands, and Uchiha throws himself into the trap. Wait. Uchiha Natsuki, what do you want? Susanoo, the unparalleled manipulator of Natsuki, stood in the middle of the field. No, isn't it your own fault that what happened today is your own fault? Why, you got yourself involved and you can't accept it. Shimu looked sarcastic, but Yumu-ren couldn't get angry. In addition to Kurabi in his hand, I really didn't expect Uchiha to have two Mangekyo Sharingan. In comparison, the Hokage series were like turtles, clearly seeing that it was Kumogakure's plan, but he betrayed Hinata and forced Hinata to resolve the matter. Following Susanoo's huge movement, more and more ninjas were coming. Yumu-ren's face was slumped. This time he was really defeated. She gritted her teeth and said, "We Yunin are the ones who are in trouble this time. Please let Kurabi go." Natsuki nodded to Fugaku, then untied the Susanoo. He threw the seriously injured Kurabi directly to Konoha. I'm very dissatisfied with this peace contract. Let's renegotiate the regulations. Xiaomu was talking nonsense. He didn't know what the content of the peace contract was, but he might as well give him a favor. As for why he wanted to send favors to Konoha. The third Hokage, the area around our clan is very safe. We won't need your protection in the future. Otherwise, I will worry about accidentally injuring my fellow villagers. The pronunciation of the word Shimu is a companion in the same village has been emphasized. The third generation stood up at this time. The Uchiha clan land was under construction before. To prevent Xiao Xiao, we arranged a lot of AMBU protection. The third generation paused and glanced at Kurabi next to him. Since the Uchiha tribe has been built, we will naturally withdraw. Natsuki nodded and turned to Rizu and said, Master Rizu, you are welcome to visit our new clan land when you have time. Hizu first looked at the third Hokage with a cold expression, and then responded with a sincere face, after handling the family affairs, I will definitely pay a visit. Let's go. Natsuki greeted Fugaku and the other Uchiha clan members and turned to leave. The three generations saw the way the Hyuga family looked at them, and knew that they were being plotted by Uchiha again, but others on Yunin's side did send benefits, so he shamelessly said to Yukito with the Hinata family's eyes on him. Yukito, there are some mistakes and omissions in our peace contract this time. I think we need to renegotiate it. After Fugaku and Natsuki returned to the clan, Fugaku was a little unsteady, and Natsuki quickly supported Fugaku. Clan leader, you don't need to take action at all, I can handle Yunin by myself. Fugaku slowly sat down, covering his eyes. What you did this time was too radical. If Yakido had taken action at that time, you wouldn't have been able to stop the two Jinchuriki. I have no choice but to help you control Kurabi quickly. Fugaku was panting and his eyes ached. My vision became blurry again. Natsuki felt ashamed when he saw Fugaku thinking about him so much. His confidence in provoking Kumogakure lies in the fact that the pupil power of several of his Mangekyo Sharingan converge, and his pupil power far exceeds that of an ordinary Mangekyo. Eternal Kaleidoscope is only a matter of time. The second-level Susanoo alone can already put Kurabi at a disadvantage. If necessary, he will directly activate the third-level Susanoo. No one here can fight with him, and now he is already the strongest in Konoha. Now Uchiha no longer needs to look at Konoha's face. Clan leader, are your eyes blurred? Chapter 33 Imagine. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I can still see now, but I won't be able to see for many times. Fugaku's tone was a little bleak. He finally awakened the Mangekyo Sharingan, but such a powerful power could not last long. Will Weasel become blind in the future? Will Xiaomu be blind in the future? Natsuki saw Fugaku's reluctance and chuckled. Don't worry, clan leader. The Mangekyo Sharingan has two methods to restore vision. Oh. Fugaku was shocked and looked at Natsuki expectantly. Natsuki pondered for a moment and said, Clan leader, you know the major attributes of the ninja world: chakra, water, fire, earth, wind, thunder, yin and yang. And the opening of our Sharingan relies on the power of yin escape. Yin escape. Fugaku chewed the word. Of course he knew about yin escape, but he didn't quite understand the relationship between yin escape and Sharingan. Uchiha Madara's departure took away a large number of the family's secret books, and many things were broken. We all know that yin escape chakra is composed of spiritual energy. When we Uchiha are severely stimulated, our spiritual energy will skyrocket. At the same time, it will stimulate the brain to secrete special chakra, which will then stimulate the eyes, causing eye mutations. This is true from single Magatama to kaleidoscope. But the chakra of yin escape will increase, which will make people more gloomy. This kind of temperament will make us Uchiha seem unfriendly to strangers. Based on this way of evolution, Tobirama believes that we Uchiha are the evil clan. It's really ridiculous. Natsuki's tone was full of ridicule for Senju Tobirama. Even though Tobirama invented many ninjutsu, he was limited by the times and family feud, still full of prejudice against Uchiha. In fact, with his scientific brain, if he really studies Uchiha's yin escape, the current Konoha will definitely not be what it is now. Throughout the entire Naruto world, there is only one pure scientific researcher, Orochimaru, and Tobirama can only be said to be a genius ninja. Is this actually like this? Fugaku was shocked beyond words. He still knew about the past events between Tobirama and Uchiha Madara, but he only thought that Tobirama was targeting him because of his brother's death. He didn't expect that there was such a layer. Natsuki continued, of course, if there is yin done, there will naturally be yang done. The chakra owners of yang done are the Uzumaki clan and the Senju clan. The huge chakra and vitality of the Uzumaki clan. The super physique and resilience of the Thousand Hands clan. Even the Akimichi clan's secret technique, enlargement, is related to the yang escape chakra. Clan leader, have you heard the rumors about Hashirama? Fugaku nodded. Of course. Fugaku was very close to Senju Hashirama. I have grown up hearing the rumors about Senju Hashirama since I was a child. Moreover, there are records in the family that Senju Hashirama was called the god of ninja back then. Muji is cured. Fugaku suddenly felt blessed and blurted out. Xiaomu nodded. Senju Hashirama is a rare immortal body, so his body is full of vitality and can automatically recover from injuries without forming seals. So, clan leader, the first way is to inject Hashirama's cell solution. When the cell solution is injected, the yin and yang can be combined into one, creating the power of all things. Hashirama's cell solution. Fugaku frowned. Senju Hashirama has been dead for so many years, where did he get the cell solution? Natsuki chuckled and said, Chief, do you think why Orochimaru defected? Ha! Fugaku knew that Orochimaru was conducting human experiments. Since Hashirama's death, Konoha has always wanted to recreate the wooden ninja, so it has been experimenting with Hashirama's cells. During the Ninja World War, there were naturally many enemies doing human experiments. But after the war, naturally only people from our own village were used for surgery. Fugaku asked, did Orochimaru succeed? Tsukiyomi shook his head, it can be said to be a success, or it can be said to be a failure. Hashirama's cells were too powerful. They experimented on 60 babies. Except for one who survived, the remaining 59 babies all turned into trees. Become a tree. Fugaku was a little silent after hearing this. He didn't think that he was much better than others. So, what about the second method? The second method is to upgrade the Mangekyo Sharingan into the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, but the price is very high. Natsuki was silent for a moment. Why is Uchiha's Sharingan called the Cursed Eye? It's because the second method is to transplant the Mangekyo Sharingan of one's own blood relatives. When two pairs of Mangekyo Sharingan are combined into one, the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan can be awakened. Back then, Uchiha Madara transplanted his younger brother Izuna's eyes and evolved into the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan, which made him a strong man on par with Hashirama. Ha ha ha, okay. 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 In this case, Itachi can save his eyes. And it can also become an Eternal Kaleidoscope. Good. 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 Fugaku's first thought was not sadness. He immediately wanted to give Itachi his eyes so that Itachi could achieve the Eternal Kaleidoscope and become a strong man. Natsuki was amused by Fugaku and said maliciously, Chief, you are happy too early. Sasuke is very talented. It is only a matter of time before he awakens the Mangekyo Sharingan. Fugaku's expression was suffocated. Since Natsuki said that Sasuke would also awaken the Mangekyo Sharingan, it must be true. He recognized not only Natsuki's ability to peer into the future, but also Sasuke's talent. But now, the palms and backs of my hands are full of flesh, what should I do? Even if he is blind, does one of the two brothers have to be blind? Suddenly Fugaku's eyes lit up, as if he thought of something. Natsuki directly blocked it and said, don't think that each person has only one eye. The transplantation of two eyes can awaken the Eternal Mangekyo Sharingan. Fugaku was a little frustrated. When he turned around, he found Tsukiyomi covering her mouth and snickering. Tsukiyomi, you have a way, right? Haha, do you know why I must let Uchiha become independent? Do I also need to pull out all ANBU whistles? Fugaku looked at Natsuki with burning eyes. Natsuki clenched his fists. I want the entire Uchiha to stand on top of the world. I want the Uchiha clan to become the strongest force. Natsuki took a deep breath. I want all Uchiha to open their Mangekyo Sharingan. Open all the Mangekyo Sharingan. Fugaku's eyes glowed with gold. The whole clan has the power of God. Such an Uchiha. Fugaku seems to have thought of where Uchiha has been. Susanoo flattened the earth and conquered all countries. It doesn't matter whether the clan leader's eyes belong to Sasuke or Itachi. Sister Mikoto still has a pair of Sharingan. Natsuki Yuyo's words came, directly pulling Fugaku back to the display. He frowned. Even if Mikoto turns on the kaleidoscope, she won't be able to see if she hands over her eyes. Oops, I didn't realize that Fugaku was still a wife-loving master. It didn't matter that he was blind, but Mikoto couldn't be blind. Natsuki rolled his eyes. Why are you so stubborn? We Uchiha have killed so many people in battles in the past, so we must have recovered the Sharingan. You can just put a pair on it, but it just doesn't have the power of a kaleidoscope. It seems like a new door has been opened to Fugaku. Yes, it can also be like this. If your Mangekyo Sharingan is dug out, you can also transplant other eyes, even though Susanoo's power is gone, I can still see it. The Uchiha clan also lost many members of the clan during the Third War. The clan had always wanted to study the Sharingan, so they all collected the Sharingan. But because no one in the tribe has the relevant talent, it has been idle. Natsuki, do you know how to turn on the kaleidoscope? Fugaku looked at Natsuki with burning eyes. Xiaomu pointed to his eyes. Of course, there are many methods, and whether you can succeed requires some prerequisites. It also depends on whether the person has this talent. It would be great if there was a way. Fugaku sighed. For so many years, the Mangekyo Sharingan has been recorded in the family's secret history. In modern times, he is the only clan member who has activated the Mangekyo Sharingan, but I just opened the Sharingan by accident. Now, we have moved out the clan territory and pulled out the ANBU's nails. The current clan leader can give the order. An order? What order? Create humans. Xiaomu said seriously. Chapter 34 Trends from All Parties. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage's office. Sandem-sama, Uchiha has sent back the 4 detained Umbu. They were not punished, they were just imprisoned overnight. Is this so? The third Hokage took a puff of cigarette. Sarutobi, what are you going to do? Mito Monoyen next to him asked. The third Hokage sighed. Remove all the Umbu who monitor the Uchiha clan. There will be no need to go there in the future. Is this really okay, Sarutobi? Mito Kaden is still worried. Monitoring the Uchiha clan has always been Tobirama's order. They didn't dare to relax for a moment, but they never caught anything. But the Nine-Tails rebellion was clearly caused by Uchiha's Sharingan. If you don't withdraw, are you planning to let all the ANBU die there? The third generation snorted heavily. Now the 2 Kage-level Uchiha powerhouses, Fugaku and Natsuki, are both Mangekyo Sharingan masters, and Kurabi is still lying in our hospital in Konoha. Mito Kadoyan sat down sullenly and made no sound. Koharu turned to bed and said, otherwise, how about calling Jiraiya and Tsunade back? Sarutobi took a long drag on his cigarette and said, Tsunade's whereabouts are uncertain. Let Jiraiya come back. Mito Kadoyan and Koharu, who had gone to bed, looked at each other, wondering how could Tsunade be so missing. Wherever she goes, the title of Big Fat Sheep spreads. The reason Tsunade didn't come back was that she had always been suspicious of Konoha's higher-ups. The human traces of Natsuki's death and Broken's death were too obvious. It was just that Tsunade had no evidence, so she left Konoha. I'm afraid it won't be easy to get Tsunade back now. Jiraiya's character is better controlled. After turning to bed, Xiaochun nodded. I'll make arrangements. After Koharu went to bed, Sandai asked, how are Kumogakure and the others? Mito Menyen picked up the official letter in his hand. At present, Kurabi is in good condition after emergency treatment in the hospital. With his physical strength, he will be discharged from the hospital soon. Yukido wrote a letter back to Kumogakure. But they stayed at the embassy honestly and did not go anywhere else. The third generation nodded. This time Kumogakure was really scared. He probably didn't expect Uchiha to openly support the Leaf Village. Although Konoha Village can gain some benefits from this peace negotiation, the Hyuga clan, the third Hokage felt a headache. Why did the Uchiha family have a freak like Natsuki? This series of changes in Uchiha happened after Natsuki became the deputy clan leader. Now that the Hokage line has lost Hinata as an ally, they have no choice but to recall Jiraiya. It would be nice if Orochimaru was here. The third Hokage naturally understands Orochimaru's character, but Orochimaru is considered top-notch in terms of scientific research ability and IQ. If Orochimaru is allowed to be Hokage, the third Hokage was in a daze for a moment. Sarutobi. Sarutobi. Mito Kadoyan's voice brought the third Hokage back from his thoughts. He shook his head. He was really old. How could Orochimaru come back? The third Hokage cheered up. Well, what has Danzo been doing recently? Mito Kadoyan hesitated and said, since the Roots entered the police force, Hizashi only asked them to do security maintenance work. Because too many people complained, Danzo had no choice but to rectify it himself. It's not clear what his actions have been recently. But he often sends people from the Root to hang out in places where Uchiha is responsible. Humph, Uchiha is not that easy to bully now. The third Hokage loved and hated Danzo, not to mention they were teammates back then. Later, when he got to the leadership level, he was the Hokage and Danzo was doing the underworld. They worked well together, but in recent years, Danzo's ambitions have been increasing day by day, and the number of people at the root has exceeded the original number. Even he, the Hokage, didn't know how many roots were buried deep underground. Danzo had coveted Shirsue's Mangekyo Sharingan before. As a result, Xiaomu got caught and was severely beaten, but now he still doesn't give up. Sandai thought for a while. Send this news to Natsuki. Let them fight on their own. Mito Menyen nodded in approval. He has also seen Danzo's ambitions in recent years. They were all teammates back then, but Danzo now has a superior attitude. Now that Uchiha is so strong, Danzo is likely to suffer. The country of fields. After many days of long journey, Itachi, Shisui and his party finally arrived at Tian country. The kingdom of Tian is just a small country, not even 1/10 of the area of the kingdom of fire. The products are not as rich as the fire nation, and the level of national power is relatively low. However, everyone who has been traveling in the wilderness for many days now just wants to take a good rest, stop by to find out some news. In a small town, the Uchiha group directly booked the entire hotel. The hotel owner who was about to go bankrupt suddenly received such a huge business, and he was so happy that he couldn't see anything. He is very attentive to Itachi and his group and responds to their requests. The group of people also regained their strength after a day's rest. Early the next morning, Takuya had already begun to inquire about information about Tian Jigua. Did your Tian country build a new ninja village recently? Hey, guests, you all know this. The hotel owner said in surprise. We established a new sound ninja village here about a few years ago. Although it is a small village, it is still very capable. There are many foreign ninjas in the Sound Ninja Village, and the Sound Ninja Village's mission efficiency is very high. Our daimyo is also very supportive of the Sound Ninja Village. I heard that he even allocated a lot of money to the Sound Ninja Village. Before setting off, Elder Takuya inquired about the location of the Sound Ninja Village and some details. After all the Uchiha had rested, they quickly moved towards the Sound Ninja Village. The land of Tianji is very small, and in just 2 days, we reached the boundary of Oto Ninja Village. In order to avoid unnecessary casualties, Itachi arranged for the other Uchiha to stay in the town, and he and Shisui planned to go there alone. The overall scale of Oto Ninja Village is very shabby. It covers an area not as large as the Uchiha clan's land, and only a few hundred people come and go. But Itachi and Shisui walked into the Sound Ninja Village and clearly felt that there was a lot of powerful chakra hidden in the village. Those were obviously Jounin-level ninjas. Itachi and Shisui were secretly cautious and went to the mission center as the mission commissioned. There is only one reception window in the mission center. There was a fat ant inside, just an ordinary person. Jisue walked up to discuss the matter. The ant looked kind and said, "Welcome to the Sound Ninja Village. What's your entrustment?" Shisui replied politely, "We need to find someone. He should be in your Oto Ninja Village." Oh. I wonder who the guest is talking about. The ant asked doubtfully. They are here to find me. A man with glasses and a smile walked in from outside the door. It was Kabuto Yakushi. You too, come with me. Medicine Master Kabuto greeted his aunt. He took Itachi and Shisui and walked towards the back of the village. Behind the village is a branch of a mountain range. There are fewer and fewer people along the way, and in the end only the footsteps of 3 people are left. After a while, Kabuto stopped at the mouth of a mountain pass. I don't know why the famous Shunshin Shisui and the young clan leader of Uchiha came to the Sound Ninja Village. While he was talking, several figures jumped down next to him. They had different forehead protectors. They were all followers that Orochimaru had found from other ninja villages. They were all Jounin-level ninjas. Everyone looked at Itachi and Shisui with great hostility. Itachi ignored everyone's gaze and took a step forward. You are Kabuto Yakushi, right? Where is Orochimaru? Itachi's tone was calm, without any fluctuation, but several Jonin seemed to be stimulated. How dare you call the Lord by his first name? Then he ferociously pounced on Itachi and Shisui. Chapter 35 Studying Uchiha. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The sudden ferocity kicked Itachi. Ah, ah. As the crow cried, Itachi's whole body split into a bunch of crows, and when the crow was in the air, Itachi suddenly appeared in the air. The shurikens were thrown down one after another, and they still collided with each other in the air to change their positions. The four sound ninjas worked together to block Itachi's shuriken attack. Itachi used a teleportation technique to get close to his body and kicked the sound ninja away. The remaining three people quickly fought with Itachi. The other two people came towards Jisue. With a look from Jisue, the two fell to the ground in an instant. Kabuto Yakushi stood there speechless and did not make a move. These sound ninjas were the jounin that Orochimaru had retrieved. There is no mention of ability, but even under siege, Itachi defeated them without much effort. Itachi only used a crow substitute technique, while Shisui stood there and cast a genjutsu to make the two lose their fighting power. They did not participate in the subsequent battle at all. In just a moment, these jounin of the sound ninja were lying on the ground. It really disappoints me. Didn't you even force out the Mangekyo Sharingan? A hoarse and magnetic voice came out. Orochimaru, who had just changed his body, walked out of the shadows. Kabuto lowered his head and said, "I'm very sorry, Orochimaru-sama. Stand back. The next battle is not something you can interfere with. Although the body has just been changed, having 10,000 snakes should be enough." Orochimaru's handsome face was cold, and he bit his finger. "Hi, Su, Yu, Shen, Wei." Kabuto was shocked. Was Orochimaru-sama going to use that directly? Psychic art. Boom. Shrouded in huge smoke, Itachi and Shisui jumped out. A loud voice roared in my ears. "Orochimaru, you need a sacrifice to let me come out this time." Orochimaru looked annoyed. "Defeat them, and I will prepare a sacrifice for you." Roar! Screamed. Wan Shi's huge body was swung over like a whip. Boom! A big hole was made on the ground. After Wan Shi missed his blow, he slowly raised his body, casting a large shadow under his body. Kabuto quickly pulled the three jonin nearby to get out of here. Several other ninjas had been crushed into a puddle of meat by Wan Shi. Itachi Uchiha. I didn't expect you to come to me. Orochimaru looked at the Sharingan in Itachi's eyes greedily. Before he defected, he had seen this genius training, which was almost like a suicidal training method. At that time, he had coveted the Sharingan. After he took control of the daimyo in Tian country, he established the Sound Ninja Village and studied ninjutsu while developing it. In a few years, he improved the second Hokage, reincarnated the dirt left by Senju Tobarama, and performed the method of immortality, the first reincarnation of the immortal body. Since he couldn't forget Itachi's Sharingan, he was preparing to take action. Unexpectedly, news came from the undercover in Konoha that Uchiha and Konoha were separated, and Uchiha Itachi and Fugaku awakened the legendary Mangekyo Sharingan. Orochimaru didn't expect Fugaku to be so patient. The third ninja war had been going on for so long, and he had never heard that Fugaku had the Mangekyo Sharingan, but now it was revealed, and Itachi, at such a young age, actually possesses the Mangekyo Sharingan. Itachi and Shisui looked at each other. To deal with giant psychic beasts like Wanzi, they could only rely on Susanna. "Come on, Itachi. Let me see the Susanoo of the Mangekyo Sharingan." Orochimaru looked fanatical, determined to collect all the ninjutsu in the world, and Susanoo is a legendary jutsu. How can he, a scientific researcher, not go crazy? Boom! 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 Every time one snake rushes forward, every attack is like a magnitude 7 earthquake. The entire ground explodes, sending sand and rocks flying, and smoke and dust rising everywhere. Itachi and Shisui had to dodge quickly. When the earth trembles and the mountains shake, the rocks flying out are extremely lethal. "No, we have to go." Kabuto could only leave the battlefield quickly with 3 knocked-out oil bottles. "Itachi. It's not your style to hide all the time. Come on, let me see the legendary power of God." Orochimaru wanted to see Susanoo, but Itachi and Shisui dodged all the way, and Orochimaru became impatient. Itachi realized that there were only 3 of them nearby. so he and Shisui looked at each other. The Magatama and Itachi's eyes instantly turned into a large triangular windmill. An orange-red chakra giant rose from the ground instantly. The raging chakra is built from the giant's bones and meridians until the flesh and blood appears all over the body. It is Susanoo in the second stage. Shisui also jumped up at the same time and rushed towards Orochimaru. Amazing! Amazing! This is the Mangekyo Sharingan. This is the power of God. Ha 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 ha. Orochimaru's blue-gray face was filled with a sickly smile. He said with a loud smile, the second stage of Susanoo consumes a lot of chakra. Itachi knocked all the snakes away instantly after Susanoo appeared. Boom! With a huge roar, one snake was unable to stabilize his body and was knocked away. After Susanoo hit one snake, he immediately threw out a handful of Yasaka's Magatama. Orochimaru jumped down at the same time as Wanzi was knocked away, and happened to face Shisui, who was rushing towards him. Orochimaru looked away from Itachi Susanoo. Shisui, I heard that Danzo really wants your eyes, so do you also have the Mangekyo Sharingan? Orochimaru's eyes were shining brightly. With his wisdom, how could he not know that Shisui's Sharingan must also be special? Unfortunately, he only knew that the Mangekyo Sharingan could activate Susanoo, but he did not know that the Mangekyo Sharingan would also derive other secret techniques. You will know. The moment Orochimaru met Shisui's eyes. Shisui's eyes shed a line of blood and tears, and he opened his eyes suddenly. No God! What? Orochimaru was shocked. It's too late. Ding! Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Orochimaru's life. The host obtains Ghoul Seal X1. A smile appeared on Natsuki's face. It seemed that Shisui was quite reliable. Roar! There was smoke and dust everywhere, when she was beaten by Yasaka's Magatama and howled miserably, and black flames exploded. What kind of flame is this? Ah! Ah! He howled, Orochimaru, what are you doing? In his last eyes, he saw Orochimaru stiffen suddenly and fall from the air. How come? Orochimaru was defeated. Why doesn't Orochimaru use ninjutsu, hidden shadow snake hands, and 10,000 snake formation? Once she was a little frightened. Bang! All the snakes turned into a ball of smoke and ran away. Orochimaru raised his head and said in a hoarse voice, it saves me the sacrifice. Why are you here just now? We still need to do a lot of things, so don't waste time. With that said, Orochimaru turned and walked towards the valley behind him. Itachi lifted Susanoo, came down from the air panting, and supported Shisui, whose pupil power was exhausted. He looked at Jisui, who nodded tiredly. In that moment, he changed Orochimaru's will. Originally, Orochimaru wanted to turn into the wind to drive the windmill, but the other gods let him know. And he also had a group of like-minded partners to become the wind with him. Now he doesn't just want to turn a windmill, he wants to blow across the world like a hurricane. Orochimaru was walking in front and saw Itachi and Shisui looking very tired. Susanoo consumes more than just chakra, right? Itachi nodded. Susanoo also consumes eye power, which is a very dangerous technique. 1 second, several people were fighting to death, and the next second, they were discussing like teammates. The style of the painting was simply weird. But Orochimaru didn't feel anything was wrong. Kabuto Yakushi came out of the base and looked surprised when he saw Orochimaru and the two Uchiha coming together, but out of trust in Orochimaru, Kabuto had no doubts. Orochimaru explained calmly, they are here to cooperate with me. You go and prepare the medical laboratory. Medical laboratory. Kabuto was a medical ninja in the past, so he was very familiar with this. It is generally needed when doing biological research. Yes, Lord Orochimaru. What are we studying this time? I'll prepare the experimental subjects. Orochimaru turned his head and glanced at Itachi, then stuck out his tongue and turned it around on his face. Study Uchiha, the experimental subject is Itachi. Pocket. Chapter 36 Arrangements for Sound Ninja Village. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the end, only blood, skin, and bone marrow were collected from the weasel. Senior Natsuki said that Itachi already has a physical problem, and if it is not treated, it will get worse quickly. Oh. Orochimaru took Itachi's cell tissue for testing. He picked up what Xiaomu specially prepared for him. Orochimaru opened pages of documents filled with words, his eyes changed from careless to focused, and his expression gradually became fanatical. It's amazing, I never thought of these things, how could Shimu know about it? About the negative mental effects of soul division, basic analysis of Yin Dun Yang Dun chakra, the evolution and conjecture of the Sharingan, on the immortal eyes, immortal human body, immortal blood and the limits of blood succession, relationship between immortal magic conjecture and curse seal. Those papers were filled with Xiaomu's accumulated knowledge and some of his reasonable guesses. When this knowledge was given to Shisui, Natsuki had already explained it. If the other gods succeed, they can directly tell Orochimaru that he can predict the future. When Orochimaru heard that the kaleidoscope had the ability to predict the future, he was shocked. Then I became more concerned about the information on my hands. Drip, drip. At this time, the detection machine has completed the detection of ferret cell tissue. Orochimaru took it over and looked at it, and he already frowned. This is, that he found that the cells of the ferret were not active normally, and a small number of cells were becoming abnormal, and these were cellular lesions. If Natsuki were here, he would be able to tell that Itachi's symptoms were a form of leukemia, although Orochimaru didn't know the name of this disease, but this does not hinder his superb medical technology. He quickly found out that Itachi's illness was caused by the erosion of Infu chakra on his body every time he used the Mangekyo Sharingan. As long as the use of the Mangekyo Sharingan is suspended, Orochimaru can suppress the diseased cells. When Itachi grows older or becomes stronger, he will be able to resist the erosion of the Mangekyo Sharingan's escape chakra. The ferret's disease can be cured without medicine. Great! Itachi! Shisui breathed a sigh of relief. When he heard Natsuki say that Itachi could only live until he was 20, he was worried day and night. Fortunately, Senior Natsuki's plan was correct. Shisui touched his eyes. Now it will take many years for both of his eyes to be able to use other gods again. Fortunately, it worked the first 2 times. Don't be too happy too soon. Orochimaru's voice brought Shisui's thoughts to the forefront. The Mangekyo Sharingan of your Uchiha clan is not a stable product in itself. If it is abused unscrupulously, it will not only cause vision loss and blindness, but also cause unpredictable pathological changes in your body. Orochimaru flipped through the 2 brochures, Evolution and Conjecture of the Sharingan, and then compared them. On the immortal eye, immortal human body, immortal blood and blood succession limits. In the second booklet, Orochimaru came across the introduction of the Otsutsuki clan and the influence of the Otsutsuki bloodline on many bloodline boundaries in the ninja world. The blood succession limit is a gift and a curse. Orochimaru sighed. The next experiment requires the full cooperation of the 2 of you. Regarding the method of stabilizing the Mangekyo Sharingan, Natsuki also proposed the idea that Itachi could transplant the Mangekyo Sharingan from a blood relative, but Shisui is now alone and has no blood relatives, so he needs to take the second way, which is to inject chakra into Hashirama, but Orochimaru had his own ideas. He wanted to try to see what impact direct injection of yang-release chakra could have on the Mangekyo Sharingan. But injecting chakra has never been tested before. Now that there are only 2 living test subjects, Orochimaru has to replan how to start. Some of his previous plans and research projects were all scrapped. His becoming stronger is no longer just about wanting the Sharingan. His plan became even more grand. Orochimaru quickly got busy and left all the matters in the Sound Ninja Village to Kabuto to complete. But Kabuto couldn't get away because he often had to help Orochimaru do experiments. After all, in such delicate work as scientific research, the shadow clone technique cannot be used. When the shadow clone disappears, the huge medical data will shut down your entire brain. Instead, you have to rest for many days to sort it out. The Uchiha tribesmen brought by Itachi and Shisui quickly filled the shortage of manpower in the Sound Ninja Village. The 3rd elder, Takuya, quickly took over Kabuto's administrative duties in the Sound Ninja Village, allowing Kabuto to cooperate with Orochimaru for a long time. The 3rd elder, Uchiha Takuya, finally fulfilled his long-cherished wish. Although the current Sound Ninja Village is not big, it can still satisfy his addiction to power. Kabuto has no interest in things like power. He is in the Sound Ninja village to help Orochimaru. To him, Orochimaru was his boss, his brother, and his family. As long as he can help Lord Orochimaru, he is very happy to do anything. Itachi and Shiro cooperated with Orochimaru every day, treating themselves as living materials. Unless they had faith in other gods, Itachi and Shiro were really worried that Orochimaru had vivisected them. The land of the new Uchiha tribe. Sir, there is news from Ninja Cat. Chiming walked in with the news. Chiming's brother Yao Ye's summoned beast is also a ninja cat. Using psychic skills, Yao Yi, who followed Itachi, could quickly communicate with Chiming. Natsuki opened the scroll and saw that Orochimaru had already begun studying Itachi's body. Itachi's body should have stabilized. Next comes development. Ding. Congratulations to the host for greatly changing Kabuto Yakushi's life trajectory. Congratulations to the host for getting Palm Immortal Technique X1. Xiaomu raised his eyebrows. Isn't he in immortal mode? Natsuki-sama. At this time, another Uchiha came in. There is news from the third generation. Any news about the third Hokage? Xiaomu opened it with some doubts, and then let out a chuckle. Danzo is really dishonest. He became a street rat in Konoha village because of gouging out Shirsue's eyes. They can only stay within their own clan or at their roots, not even going to the Hokage building. Unexpectedly, he still wanted to be evil, and now he was plotting against Uchiha again. However, the third generation is not a good thing. On the surface, the third generation of Hokage is showing kindness to Uchiha, but in fact it is causing trouble. Danzo is now the boss, and the third generation is already a little out of control, and Uchiha is now even more separated from the village. The key is the combat power of Uchiha's 2 kaleidoscopes, which the third Hokage simply cannot compete with. Therefore, when Danzo and Uchiha face off, any loss on either side will be a good thing for the third Hokage. Uchiha can gradually ignore the reaction of Konoha village now. As long as Tian country develops, ordinary people in Uchiha no longer have to rely on Konoha. Pass the order. All Uchiha security teams and security patrols will be changed to 2 standard teams at the same time. All tribesmen who have opened their eyes are not allowed to leave the tribe alone. They will temporarily stop accepting tasks in Konoha village and return to the tribe to rest. These rights have been delegated to Natsuki by Fugaku, and Natsuki has been completely cultivated as his successor. Natsuki stood up and patted Chiming on the shoulder. Danzo is still staring at our Sharingan. If there is a shortage, go to Fugaku and get it as soon as possible for the barrier class. Yes, Captain. Chiming's eyes were full of determination. The family must be protected by me. Chapter 37. Hot-eyed Danzo. You are listening at novelfull.audio. In the following time, the third Hokage began to resume peace talks with Kumogakure. Kumogakure was very strong before, and he often tested Konoha. However, the strong support of the Uchiha clan turned Kumogakure into a toothless tiger. He couldn't beat him again and again. He couldn't afford to drag him away, so he could only let Konoha slaughter him. Originally, Kurabi, the 8-tailed Jinchuriki, was here to suppress the situation, but he was taken directly into the hospital and became a hostage. They suffered a huge loss in the peace talks. The compensation alone was 300 million, and some of Kumogakure's scientific research technology was also paid to Konoha. Although these scientific research technologies may not be the latest, at least they are not easily encountered outside. The third generation did not dare to keep it to himself, so he made a copy of all the information and sent it to Natsuki Uchiha, on Konoha 8th Street. The merchants were a little strange today, because all 8 members of the Uchiha guards walked together. Whether they are patrolling or enforcing the law, the 8 of them are inseparable. Fortunately, the merchants on this street were all kept in check by the Uchiha, and there were very few troublemakers. Uchiha patrolling like this just aroused some people's curiosity, but Danzo felt as uncomfortable as swallowing a fly. Before he could take action, he actually blocked the road. Aren't there any of those Uchiha who are alone? Returning to your lord, all members of the Uchiha Kaien clan now come in and out together, and there are no cases of less than 4 people. Jitu below whispered. Recently, in addition to installing a Sharingan in his right eye, Danzo also used the 2 remaining Sharingans for experiments. He wanted to know how the Mangekyo Sharingan was opened. However, it is of no use. If the Manjikyu Sharingan can be researched casually, the Uchiha clan will not be what it was before. Now the Shimura clan is implicated by him and has cut off cooperation with many ninja clans. The Shimura clan received no benefits, and Natural Roots had even less funds. Moreover, the third Hokage cut back on his previous matters, many of his experiments came to a standstill. The power of the kaleidoscope that Natsuki displayed at Hinata's house made Danzo extremely jealous. But now the stock of Sharingan has been depleted, so Danzo set his sights on the Uchiha clan security team, but Danzo didn't even have time to take action. The Uchiha were like prophets of the unknown, putting all the Uchiha on guard. Who leaked the news? Danzo's eyes were dark, and he thought for a moment that it must be that old fox Sarutobi Hiruzen. Only the third Hokage can command a large number of Umbu, and they know best about any troubles in Konoha. In the past, when you wanted to use me, you were very affectionate. Now that I see that I have more power, you suppress me. Go around the Uchiha clan and see if there are any opportunities. Kitsu worriedly asked, is it too risky? Even the Hokage's Umbu cannot enter the current Uchiha clan. Danzo smiled confidently. The third generation was threatened by Natsuki. The Uchiha clan is so big, can Natsuki defend it alone? It's not safe if there are too many people. Let Aburame Ryoma go see if there is any chance. Kitsu was a little frightened. Sir, Aburame Ryoma has been detained in the dungeon by the third generation now. You let him out quietly and tell him that there is a cure for his illness, as long as he helps me catch the Uchiha people. Although he didn't want to face Aburame Ryoma, Kitsu gritted his teeth and said, yes. In the dungeon, there was a man in a black trench coat leaning against the shadow of the wall. The body is muscular, but there is a faint greenish-gray color to it. Tap tap tap, footsteps came in. Jitu walked to the cell door. Longma Ryoma seemed to be distracted. He opened his mouth and yawned before walking to the door. Who are you? Jitu? Kido nodded. Sir, Danzo said there is a cure for your illness, but the condition for treatment is to help Danzo capture an Uchiha with a Sharingan. Sharingan? Isn't it easy to catch the Uchiha clan? Ryoma has been in the dungeon for too long and has no idea about the changes in the outside world. No problem, when are you going? Jitu swallowed his saliva. He didn't know why when he walked in front of Ryoma, he felt cold all over and his thinking was very slow. The sooner the better, Danzo-sama should be anxious. With that said, Kitsu came to the cell door and opened the lock for Ryoma. Aburame Ryoma walked out with a leisurely expression. Kisu, you don't know why I'm locked up here, do you? G2 felt uneasy and held on to his numb scalp and said, I heard that you came in after killing your teammates. Do you want to do something to me? G2 felt uneasy and at the same time became wary. Aburame Ryoma said calmly, I won't do anything to you, but my baby hasn't eaten for a long time, so I have no choice but to wrong you. What? Just for a moment, G2 felt that he could not move, and the chakra in his body fell silent. G2's eyesight went dark, and he lost his breath instantly. Buzzing, a large group of parasites invisible to the naked eye flew out of G2's body, and G2 has become a mummy. Outside the Uchiha clan, Uchiha Kaiming was busy alone on the ground. He set up the chakra transmission material on the ground, and then carved the barrier spell on the material. Hurrying slowly, the three people who were taught to explore the barrier were a week ahead of schedule. Chiming's last job is the barrier node in front of him. Ever since Uchiha Natsuki was promoted to deputy clan leader, the Uchiha family has been completely different day by day. Although many clan members left, the Uchiha who stayed in Konoha never suffered any hardship or injustice. On the contrary, any Uchiha who is in the police force is particularly popular now, because the 8th street where Uchiha patrols and is stationed has always been the street with the best security environment in Konoha. Merchants from other streets would sometimes come over and secretly ask the Uchiha clansmen if they would patrol their streets. After receiving the news that I will not go, I am often very depressed and no longer look at me with disgust. Chiming is sincerely happy to see that the Uchiha clan is developing better and better. He is not good at fighting, and what he wants is a prosperous family. Now that Uchiha has withdrawn from the whirlpool of Konoha, although the clan leader now requires that tasks must be done conservatively and safety is the priority, everyone's income has been reduced a lot, but at least the depressing atmosphere before was gone. Moreover, The clan leader recently said that a large number of elites were lost due to the exodus of Uchiha people. And now they are taking precautions to encourage the clan members to have children. Moreover, any family with 2 or more children will receive a subsidy of 200,000 taels for each child born, and there will be other subsidies for each additional child. There are many families who already have children at home and are immediately preparing to have one more, but now in the Uchiha tribe, young men and women are quickly paired up. After all, the subsidy given for giving birth to a child is the reward price of an A-level mission. Uchiha Chiming kept busy, preparing to complete the barrier spell node and activate it immediately, so that Uchiha could also explore the barrier. He had been immersed in his work, but he didn't realize that danger was approaching him. There were many black insects, scattered widely, flying slowly towards Chiming. Buzz, buzz, buzz. The buzzing sound of insects slowly reached Chiming's ears. The sealing technique in Chiming's hand was just ready, and Chiming subconsciously input chakra. An invisible ripple spreads out from the node. Countless little dots representing chakra appeared in Chiming's mind. Buzz. There was a huge buzz of insects, accompanied by a scream in the air, and a large group of parasitic insects fell from the sky. Chiming fell to the ground in some embarrassment and rolled twice. A hole exploded on the ground, and Chiming narrowly avoided the blow. He stood up and shouted, "Who? How dare you run wild in the Uchiha clan?" Then he opened his Sharingan. Chiming did not carry a signal flare, so he could only shout loudly to remind his tribe. He also didn't expect that someone would actually attack him on the edge of the Uchiha clan. Aburame Ryoma appeared from the shadows. "You are unlucky to meet me, but it's a pity that I'm a second Magatama, so just give it a try." Chiming saw the person in front of him as if he was facing a formidable enemy, because the person in front of him possessed powerful chakra and had strong body. The key was that he knew this person. "You are Aburame Ryoma." Chiming has a smart mind, so he consciously collected a lot of information. Isn't this Aburame Ryoma locked in a dungeon? Chapter 38 3 Magatama. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ryoma Aburame is a genius ninja of the Aburame clan. He was an elite member of the Roots in the past, and his invasion technology was also very prominent among the Umbu in the past. It is said that his strength was as strong as that of Orochimaru at that time. He was ambitious at the time and wanted to expand the Aburame clan. He also traveled around to collect insects. Later, he actually found a new type of insect. The parasites he cultivated were nano-level poisonous insects like Aburame Shiguro, but he could release the poisonous insects into the air for spread without physical contact. But later, when he was developing new secret techniques, he had physical problems. He began to secretly kill his teammates and use their blood to feed his poisonous insects. But the incident was quickly exposed and he was locked up. It was him. Chiming instantly became alert. He quickly formed seals and his chest bulged. Art fire escape ho fireball. The target is at your own feet. Puff. The raging flames spurted out and rolled back after hitting the ground. Chiming ran out of the flames, his whole body scorched. Humph. Aburame Ryoma snorted. This Uchiha was so decisive. The large number of poisonous insects that had invaded just now were burned out instantly. Knowing that his poisonous insect was invisible to the naked eye, he actually aimed it directly at himself and burned him. Although there were many burns on his body, he at least escaped Aburame Ryoma's attack of nanoscale parasitic insects. If Aburame Ryoma's poisonous bugs get on him, Chiming will lose his brain's control over his body within a few seconds. He died here inexplicably. Do you want to follow me obediently, or do you want me to take your body away? Aburame Ryoma's nano-level poisonous insects were all consumed, and now they needed blood to hatch, so he had to use ordinary parasitic insects to attack. Aburame Ryoma waved her hand, and a large group of parasites immediately swarmed up. Chiming's body was badly burned and he could only jump back with all his strength. Without a ninja tool in his hand, he had to rely on fire escape, the magic of Phoenix immortal fire. Balls of fire shot out from Chiming's mouth. He ran into a swarm of parasites head-on. In an instant, a batch of bad bugs fell out, several more balls hit the ground, and a fire broke out on the ground instantly. Seeing such a huge movement, Aburame Ryoma quickly dodged past the flames and caught Chiming. Chiming dodged the punch in a very embarrassed manner and rolled twice on the spot. Ryoma stepped forward again and kicked Chiming, but Ryoma stepped lightly. Bang! Chiming exploded into a cloud of smoke. Ha! It turned out to be a shadow clone. When the shadow clone exploded into smoke, all the memories of the shadow clone instantly returned to Chi-Ming where he was. Chi-Ming knew from the beginning that he couldn't beat him, so when he sprayed the fireball towards the ground, he separated almost all his chakra into another shadow clone. This approach is very risky. When one's own chakra is insufficient, the shadow clone disappears. When those memories and fatigue return to the main body, it is very likely that the main body cannot bear it and faints. Chi-Ming staggered and almost fell to the ground, but he had to hold on. The family had finally escaped from the war. If something happened to him, it might cause a lot of waves. Aha! Chi-Ming suppressed a groan and blood flowed from his nose. He could hear footsteps. Ryoma was about to catch up. Secret technique, parasite. There was a buzzing sound, and the sound of large groups of flying parasites had already reached behind me. Chi-Ming's eyes widened angrily. Ah! Chi-Ming felt a light on his body and instantly gained strength. He jumped forward and dodged the attack. Ho! Ho! Chi-Ming was breathing heavily, and the rotating Sharingan in his eyes had evolved from a second Magatama to a third Magatama. You are quite capable, but you actually deceived me like this. Seeing that he had been delayed for such a long time, Aburame Ryoma was a little annoyed. However, he saw that Chi-Ming's eyes had turned into the Sharingan of the three Magatama. I couldn't help but feel happy in my heart. What a good luck. The parasites around him began to fly, and super enlightenment swept over him. Are you going to die? Chi-Ming opened his eyes. His body was exhausted of chakra and it was too late to escape. Bang! A large amount of smoke and dust exploded on the ground, and a giant skeleton instantly enveloped Chi-Ming in it. Oh, luckily I caught up. Xia Mu gave Chi-Ming a thumbs up. Captain. Chi-Ming felt relieved, his eyes darkened and he fell down. Is this Susanoo? He felt the surging chakra on the other side. Even though Susanoo was only in the form of a skeleton, the oppressive force had already caused the parasites on Aburame Ryoma to scream. Aburame Ryoma immediately turned around and ran away. Natsuki glanced at him, and Susanoo slapped him, causing a strong wind. Buzz! Aburame Ryoma immediately exploded into a ball of insect clones, then immediately reappears next to it, but the number of parasites has been reduced by more than half. Apparently this substitution technique consumed most of Ryoma's chakra. Natsuki dismissed Susanna and stepped forward. He squeezed it with both hands and formed the Een seal. The fire escapes. The powerful fire is extinguished. Puff! Boom! Huge flames spurted out, and the ground instantly exploded into a sea of fire. Aburame Ryoma exploded into insects again, and all the parasitic insects were instantly burned by the flames. The violent flames and high temperatures completely emptied the area. The moment Aburame Ryoma's parasites were burned away, he appeared and was suddenly enveloped in flames. The intense heat caused him to be instantly charred, and he had no time to let out a miserable groan. A black humanoid figure fell to the ground. Rustle, rustle, rustle. The sound of rustling sounded through the forest, and many Uchiha people arrived just now, but when we arrived at the scene, the ground was in a mess and many trees were on fire. Oops, it seems that the game has gone too far. Natsuki scratched his head. To deal with this kind of bug player, the most suitable one is fire escape. In order to ensure that all the parasites could be burned to death, Natsuki used enough chakra. As a result, the fire was extinguished, but most of the nearby basketball court was burned. Put out the fire first. Quick! Water escape, water flow technique. Water escape. Fortunately, some of the Uchihas who came here were capable of water escape, otherwise the fire would have been really difficult to extinguish. Xiaomu helped Chi-Ming up. When he was doing the defensive detection barrier technique, he happened to be inputting the chakra experiment, so he knew about Ryoma's invasion as soon as possible, and he had already arrived at the scene, but he just didn't take action. However, Chi-Ming's performance really gave him a surprise. He first burned himself with a fireball, and distributed all the chakra to his shadow clone in the flames. He quickly hides his body and escapes with the help of flames. Show off Longma's face, it's just too dangerous. The reason why shadow clone is a forbidden technique is because when the clone is ended, the memory and fatigue will return to the original body. When chakra is scarce, it is easy to become overwhelmed and pass out, except for Naruto, the reincarnation of Ashura. No one else would dare to separate a bunch of shadow clones and attack him. Unexpectedly, Chiming relied on his willpower to survive the shadow clone problem, and awakened the three Magatama at the critical moment of life and death. The Uchiha medical team had just conducted a preliminary examination and found that Chiming was fine except for the burns on his body. That's a great thing. Looking at the body lying on the ground, Xiaomu remembered that this guy should be locked up in a dungeon. Didn't the third generation find no reason to deal with Danzo? Now he has a reason. Chapter 39 Naruto's Changes. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Hokage Building. Again and again, that the third Hokage threw a pile of information onto the table. Danzo, what do you want to do? Open the dungeon privately. How can you be responsible if other prisoners escape? Danzo said coldly. Sarutobi, what are you talking about? I don't know about the heaven and earth prison. The third Hokage said angrily, you are still making excuses. Your body was found in the dungeon, and you still said you didn't know. Danzo used his walking stick and said, that was Jitu's private action and has nothing to do with me. Danzo. Stop acting with me here. Do you think no one knows about you ordering Ryoma to seize Uchiha's Sharingan? The secret arts class has found evidence in Ryoma's body. Humph. Danzo stopped pretending and glared at the third Hokage. Sarutobi Hiruzen. I told you before that the Uchiha need to be eradicated as soon as possible, but you have been timid. Now Uchiha has become a climate. There are two strong Mangekyo Sharingan in the clan, and there is an Itachi and a Shursui outside the clan. If you hadn't stopped me, I would have killed all the Uchiha clan. That the third Hokage also slapped the table. Kill. 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 Just know how to kill. Uchiha Fugaku has long been a strong Mangekyo Sharingan. He just didn't make any announcement. Can you beat Susanoo? How many lives do you need to kill to destroy the Uchiha clan? Can you guarantee that Kumogakure won't take advantage of the situation? Can you guarantee that Kumogakure won't come? Or do you think Iwagakure is easy to talk to? Danzo retorted, you have weakened Uchiha long ago. Will there still be a strong man like Natsuki in Uchiha? Without Uchiha's constraints, no ninja village can be our opponent. Sarutobi Hiruzen also felt annoyed when he thought of Uchiha Natsuki's Susanoo. He picked up the pipe and took a deep puff. What's the use of talking about this now? You are not allowed to provoke Uchiha now. Regarding Ryoma, you first step down from the position of consultant elder and stay for a while. Sarutobi Hiruzen. Danzo looked at the third Hokage with fierce eyes, but the third Hokage had a straight face and no other expression. Humph. After looking at each other for a few seconds, Danzo snorted heavily, then walked away. The third Hokage looked at Danzo's back, picked up his pipe and took a deep drag. Natsuki-sama, there is news from the third Hokage that Danzo's position as advisor and elder has been removed. Xiaomu raised his eyebrows when he heard the report. These three generations were really playing this kind of trick again. Although Danzo was removed from his position as advisor and elder, Danzo has become a commoner on the surface, but if the roots in Danzo's hands are not disbanded, Danzo will never fail. The loss of the title of advisor elder will only cost him some money. After a series of previous events, Danzo had no reputation. Now Danzo is very smart, and he is trying his best to reduce his sense of existence. People are forgetful. Once too many things happen, after a while, they will no longer remember the things Danzo has done, but at least he can calm down a little now. Natsuki is still not interested in the government affairs of the clan and has had 2 serious talks with Fugaku, expressing that he was really not interested in these. Fugaku could only follow Natsuki. After all, Shimu is still young now, so he can still take his time. What makes Fugaku a little anxious is that many tribesmen have actively responded to the previous policy of encouraging childbirth. Some of them are due to the end of the Third Ninja War and the reduction of family members. Some of them were originally going to add children to their families during this non-war period. In just 2 months, many Uchiha women have been diagnosed with pregnancy. As for the money in the clan, when these babies are born in a year, they will have to get a lot of money from outside. The Uchiha treasury is in danger. Natsuki just asked Fugaku to relax, but that didn't work. When the time comes, he could catch some rebel ninjas and get some bounties to survive, but it was still early. Fugaku had no choice but to put his heart in his stomach for the time being and discuss with Natsuki the various sealing techniques that Natsuki had newly learned. It has to be said that although Uchiha also has his own collection, sealing has always been Uchiha's weakness. To be precise, no country has particularly strong sealing skills. Konoha's sealing skills are strong because when the Uzumaki kingdom was destroyed, Konoha took over some of the property of the Uzumaki kingdom. However, Fugaku had no talent for sealing techniques and was worse than the juniors Xiaomu found. Natsuki couldn't understand it after watching it for a week, so he had to write it down and let Fugaku practice it alone, and he went to the ninja school to visit Naruto and Sasuke. Because he suddenly thought of a question that concerned him very much, that means Naruto absolutely cannot. To invent vulgar seduction techniques. In the original world, Naruto's original intention of inventing this technique was to attract others' attention, and he no longer needs to do these things, which means that Naruto no longer needs to peek into the women's bathroom every day. Natsuki felt sad for Minato when he thought about the son of a hero doing such dirty things every day before his 3 views were formed. And Jiraiya is an old guy. He has no choice in other aspects. Unfortunately, in terms of personal ethics and hobbies, he is simply not flattering. Konoha school. Naruto, who was always running around when he was a child, was a little uncomfortable sitting still at the table. He felt a little drowsy after listening to a lot of written knowledge, but seeing that both Sasuke and Hinata were listening carefully, they had no choice but to calm down and listen to the teacher. Now Naruto is always accompanied by friends when he goes out. Sasuke, Hinata, Shikamaru and others are always with Naruto. Sasuke had defeated everyone and won first place in the exam at the end of the month. Hinata was bullied by a commoner kid who didn't have eyesight once before. When they turned around, their parents were warned, and the child was beaten when he returned home. The cry went straight across 2 streets. Later, civilian children also knew the concept of the great ninja clan, so they did not dare to provoke them. As for Naruto, who had been stoned and isolated by them before, they no longer dared to blatantly bully him. Since Xiaomu took care of him, he often wore new clothes and had good food. In addition to Ichiraka ramen, Sasuke also took him everywhere to find delicious food. Although Sasuke was not happy on the surface after receiving Natsuki's order, the 2 children still had fun. Sometimes Hinata, Shikamaru and Kiba will be added to the team. Even though Neji was 1 level older, he would sometimes come with Hinata. Under this situation, Naruto was in particularly good spirits. He wasn't dressed sloppily, he wasn't mischievous all day long, and he felt even less disgusted for no reason. Moreover, Kakashi was ordered by the 3rd Hokage to approach Naruto. After encountering him several times at the Ichiraka ramen shop, Kakashi also began to get to know Naruto. He would also create chance encounters and chat with Naruto for a while. Naruto is a very contented child, and he feels very happy every day now, and the beginning of these happiness was brought by Sir Shimu, so Natsuki-sama asked him not to be naughty, and he had to be obedient. Although the class was a bit boring, Naruto still listened patiently. Chapter 40 The Armor at the Root. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Root Headquarters. Not long after returning from the Hokage headquarters, Danzo received a document from the 3rd Hokage dismissing his advisor Elder. Danzo picked up the document and glanced at it, then he threw it heavily to the ground. Suddenly, his right eye stung. Danzo covered his right eye and groaned in pain. Here comes someone. Soon the medical staff affiliated with the Roots came forward to examine Danzo. After working hard for a while, after injecting Danzo with 2 kinds of medicine, the pain in Danzo's right eye subsided and became mild. What's going on? Why does my Sharingan hurt? The medical staff said very seriously. Sir, the transplanted Sharingan is decaying. It is expected that it will lose its power in a week and become useless. Why is this one so fast? It's not that Danzo has never encountered Sharingan decay, but every previous Sharingan can be used for several years, and this one started to decay immediately after it was newly installed. Sir, the constitution of each Sharingan is different. Some are very adaptable and very stable. Some, like this one, will decay very quickly in non-Uchiha people. Oh. Danzo hadn't thought that his only remaining Sharingan would actually pick one with poor physique. Uchiha was like a hedgehog, unable to make a move. Where can I get the Sharingan? Danzo's thoughts changed. How is the physical condition of Kakashi's Sharingan? That the medical staff was stunned for a moment, then saw Danzo's cold gaze and quickly replied, Kakashi's Sharingan was installed a few years ago. It is very adaptable and stable. Danzo snorted coldly, call a here. Hokage's office, the third Hokage summoned Kakashi. How is Naruto doing lately? Kakashi still had a lazy look on his face, but when he heard Naruto, his expression also changed slightly. Naruto is doing well lately because Sasuke, Hinata, Neji, Shikamaru, Choji and Kiba are often with him. No one bullied him at school. Hearing Kakashi's answer, the third generation nodded. Have you met Naruto? I got to know Naruto when I went to eat Ichiraku ramen, and now we chat for a while when we meet. Kakashi's mental state is still very poor, decadent and numb, but he was still very concerned about Naruto. The third generation took a puff of cigarette. Since Uchiha Natsuki appeared, the entire Uchiha clan has changed drastically. The talents of the Hokage line are somewhat withered. His ineffective son is full of bad bones and can never be trained well. The one with higher talent now is Hitaki Kakashi. The third Hokage plans to train Kakashi more so that Kakashi can grow up quickly and be able to share some of the pressure with him in the future, if only then. Alas, Sandai sighed inwardly, then he said to Kakashi, Orochimaru has defected for a while, but he also left many research bases in Konoha. Umbu discovered an Orochimaru research base yesterday. Go check it out and see if you find anything. Yes. Outside Konoha Ninja School, Sasuke walked in front with his pocket in his pocket, followed by Sakura, followed by Naruto and Hinata. Naruto put his head in his hands and walked behind Sakura. In this world, Naruto is much healthier physically and mentally, and he no longer has any admiration for Sakura, and they just have a normal relationship with each other. On the contrary, Hinata who was following him was much closer to him. Sasuke, you are number one again, you are so awesome. Sakura praised Sasuke with a look of infatuation on her face. Sasuke was very disgusted with this kind of girl, and he would hang around her like a fly every day. No matter which way he took, there were girls following him. At first it was a group of people, which caused a lot of commotion. Later, I don't know if they had discussed it or something else. They took different roads, which were different girls. Sasuke was very cold and didn't reply. He turned around and saw Naruto holding his head in his hands. Hey! Naruto, if you don't work hard, you will become the tail of the crane. Naruto put down his arm. You bastard Sasuke, this time it was just an accident. I will definitely do better than you in the exam next time. Sasuke snorted arrogantly, that's impossible, Uchiha is the strongest. Naruto, stop bragging. You can't even compare to Neji. How can you surpass Sasuke? Hinata stood behind Naruto and whispered, I believe in Naruto, he will definitely do well in the exam next time. Naruto laughed happily after hearing this. Look, Sakura, there are still people who believe in me. Then he gave Hinata a thumbs up. Hinata is the most discerning. Hinata's face turned visibly red. Hey! Hinata, what's wrong with you? Your face is so red. Do you have a fever? Naruto approached Hinata nervously and stretched his hand to Hinata's forehead. Naruto is so close, what should I do, what should I do? Hinata was shaking nervously and was about to faint. Idiot Naruto. Sakura pulled Naruto over and stood next to Hinata. If Naruto stretched out his hand, Hinata would faint. After all, it's not the first time. Ah, I'm not an idiot. Naruto said dissatisfied. A few people quickly got into a fuss. What a youth, Natsuki sighed while standing on the tree, but saw Kakashi appear in his sight. Hey, Naruto, you're here. Kakashi was fully armed and seemed to be going on a mission. It's really hard work to come over and say hello to make your presence felt like this. Brother Kakashi, are you going on a mission? Naruto waved happily. He had very few friends, and besides, he took the initiative to get to know him, so I have a good impression of Kakashi. Ah, I have a mission. I have to go and do some work. I'll treat you to ramen another day. After saying that, Kakashi left in a hurry. That person seems to be Kakashi. Sakura said with a surprised look on her face. Naruto, how do you know him? Sakura said in disbelief. Huh? Naruto looked confused. You mean brother Kakashi? Naruto said doubtfully, I met him when we ate Ichiraku ramen. We got to know each other a few times and he even said he wanted to be friends with me. Do you know what Kakashi represents? Sakura pulled Naruto's clothes and shook them. No, I don't know. Naruto still looked innocent. Sakura said to the direction where Kakashi disappeared, that's Kakashi Hatake, a super genius. Kakashi-senpai graduated from ninja school when he was 5 years old. Sasuke's eyes were immediately attracted. At this age, they had just entered school and others had already graduated. Hey! Naruto was shocked. Is brother Kakashi so strong? He never said that. Naruto was also surprised. Sakura rolled her eyes and didn't want to pay attention to him.